Hello, my name is Starlight and welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature somewhere. In my area, it was such a beautiful day out there. This is Starlight's kind of weather today. It might have been close to 40, and I heard over the weekend somewhere it's going to be like 60. So I am all excited for the weekend to get to that temperature again. And that's really weird for this time of year in January to have that kind of temperature in my area. Maybe that's normal in your area where you live. But anyway, I want to reach out to all of you beautiful souls out there. And I really hope you're taking really good care of yourself, working on yourself. You know, I'm going to say this a lot through a lot of my videos it takes a lot of work and consistency. You got to be consistent in whatever it is that you're working on. Be focused and be determined, be consistent. So anyway, not only I hope you're working on yourself, I hope you're eating healthy, eating the right kind of food, and limiting those foods out there that is not so good for you. And anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman. Also, if you want to see the change in the world, or better yet, be that change that you want to see in the world, you can give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to Starlight's YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget, you can leave a message down below, beep, 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 and don't forget the notification bell. That way you do not miss any of my videos, because you just never know what Starlight is going to talk about next. So besides that, you can also follow me on Instagram, and that is at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman, Starlight. So anyway, I apologize lately. I've been noticing in my videos I've been having some weird funky stuff going on, and I don't know what's actually causing that. I just recently got my computer back and got a new Windows, so I'm not sure, if somebody's hacked into my stuff again or what. So I've been having complications. Everything seems to be working good on this end, but when I play my videos, when I'm editing, I'm like, what is going on with some of my videos? So I don't know what to do in that situation. So I apologize if my videos have been kind of weird and it's something I don't know what's going on, and I am going to see what I can do about those interruptions, because I do see things that do happen on my computer. As far as my camera goes, there's times that I lose my picture when I'm recording, and I think that is the time when things get a little funny looking on your end when you're watching my videos. So I apologize. And now, I don't know how many of you know this. Some of you might be well aware of this. Starlight has known about this for a long time, and it is so sad as another person today, and this kind of brought back some backflashes to Starlight today, is somebody found out about my situation, and it's so funny how this goes. The first thing, would you believe what they were going to say to Starlight? Why don't you go to the government for help? And I am blown away, because I have so many Christians, quote, that are always sending me to the government for help. And it's like, why is the Christians, the people that go to church, always sending people to the government? What is the church there for? I don't know. Why do they have churches? I know that they get a lot of donations at the churches to help people out. So why is it that they send people still to the government? And that made me really backflash today, and I thought, yeah, I know why I don't go to the government for help. There's a lot of reasons why, and this is pretty much part of what I'm going to talk about today. But before I start talking about that, have you ever heard of the R.F.I.D chip? What was that? The F.R.I.D chip. what is that? What is the R.F.I.D chip? I heard about this a long time ago, and I'm not here to make this video to scare you. I am here so you can be prepared. And that is why it's so important, really, is those of you that don't work, that are disabled, or go to the government for any kind of help, especially for food or rent money, or cash for other items that you can't pay with food stamps, or if you are on disability or any of those things. I don't know, there's another name that I'm missing right now, but if you are getting any kind of help like that, I am here to help you out. I don't want you to be afraid of what I'm going to say. I knew this a long time ago, and that R.F.I.D chip has been around for a long time. And long time ago, and I don't remember what year it was, is when they started putting chips into animals. So if you lost your dog, then they could track it and find your dog or your cat or whatever animal you had running around outside, or you could have had a house dog, and they get away. I've seen them getting away on their owners. I'm like, why is this dog out here? They do. They have those tracking devices in your pets. That is, if you went to go to your vet, and to get that device planted on your dog, and they are already using the R.F.I.D chip, in people. People actually said, hey, sign me up. Starlight's like, nah, we're good. We're good. We are absolutely good. And you're probably wondering, what is it? What is it? What is it? Well, the R.F.I.D chip, just like the dog, like a tracking device, I don't know if they're going to have this, but they also have a smart card. Everything's smart these days, and but are we that smart? So anyway, the smart card is like the step towards the chip. Is they wanted to use the smart card first. That way, of course, anything that they say is smart, we end up finding there's errors in it anyway, like this stupid smartphone or this stupid flat screen TV or whatever they call these things, so they put the name smart on everything. And hey, there's even that character when I was a kid, Get Smart. Get Smart. I don't know, I'm trying to get smart. So anyway, I grew up with watching Get Smart. Besides getting smart, with the R.F.I.D chip, it is the size of I wish I had one. I ate some today. I should have saved a little piece. Is a piece of rice, a grain of size, a piece of rice. And what they do, they have this special gun, not like a gun that you would shoot somebody, but they somehow or other put that chip in there. And right about in this area here is where they want to inject it in your skin. And they always say that this is to help you out, just like the COVID, these injections are here to help you, or, sometimes the people out there will say, this is for your own safety, and it's like, really, is it for my own safety? And, so I'm not here to talk about the COVID. I never got the injection. So I know some of you probably got really upset just hearing those words come out of my mouth. But I really am not here to talk about the injections at all, or even the flu shot. What I'm talking about is the R.F.I.D chip, and that chip, just like that smart card, is going to have all your information into it, but more than likely they're not going to tell you how it's going to track your ass, so everywhere you go, you can't hide if you wanted to. A lot of you are, well, hey, Starlight, I'm not the law. I don't care. They could stick that thing in my arm. It's bad enough that we got cameras everywhere watching us and having, things in our phone to watch where we're going, or know where we're going. And then they got apps all over. Now you're sticking an app in your phone, and that's a tracking. So I just recently had an app that I had to download on my phone to be able to go to work at night. I'm like, I don't want to go to work where I have an app on my phone where they're tracking, when did I take a dump? No, just kidding. Oh yeah, she's in the bathroom. Well, I guess she's in there for some reason. But I don't want to be tracked everywhere. I like my privacy, and like I said, it's bad enough that, like, right where I am right now, there's a camera watching. It's like it's hard to get in anywhere. Like you go in a library, and that's where I am. I'm in the library, and there's cameras on the streets. There's cameras, the doctors, the police department on the street, and then people can tap into these different security cameras, and they can tap into all these cameras. To me, why even bother with that when you can go what is it, Google Live, Google or whatever? You could just Google and just like, they could see so much what we're doing. And Windows, do you have your windows open in your house? Do you really want your window, live, Google? Hey, wonder what Starlight's doing at this time in her apartment. What apartment? Okay, car. So it's kind of creepy, knowing that somebody could have their eyes on you. And I don't want to get you paranoid, but really face the facts. I mean, there's where can you go without cameras? And I notice certain areas there's more cameras than other towns. Starlight's a magnet for those things. Starlight's a naughty girl. Starlight, stop doing that in front of those cameras. So with that R.F.I.D chip, is that it's going to have your medical records in there, so all your stuff is going to be in there, your bank records in there, because they're going to say, well, this is for your safety, because they get so many people that lose their wallets or their purses. Like, I've had my pocketbook get stolen. They took everything, the whole, actually, let me think. I think they left me the pocketbook, but they took my money, my debit card, my ID, my license, everything, my identity, got all stolen, and this is a great reason why they could say, hey, we're going to help you out. And I wish I had a piece of rice. Anybody have a piece of rice out there? Is that... So it is amazing how they can put all that information in a grain of rice. In Revelation 13, which I didn't really have the time to do that. I just jumped right in here. Believe me, just like, whoosh, there's Starlight. Is in Revelation 13, I believe, chapter 13, it does say how there's the number of the beast, 666, and it's a number which... That number is is like the barcode. They have a barcode with those numbers on it, and like barcodes are tracking. Hang on, stay right there. Don't go anywhere. I'm not going to be long. But I went through this in the summertime. It was a trip. But let's see if I can get this on there. But that barcode there. So it's a tracking device there. So everywhere that Starlight goes, with this bottle, like Starlight just had a day where she just started ripping them off. Starlight does not like barcodes. So definitely Starlight is not going to be one of those people saying, hey, I'll take that R.F.I.D chip. But there's people out there already using those chips and getting them inserted in their skins, and it was recorded on a YouTube video somewhere, and where they actually have a technology, and I'm not sure what the name is, where they have special cars made where you get something inserted in your skin just like that R.F.I.D chip, and some people are going to think this is cool, Starlight. I can't wait to sign up for mine. Please, you don't realize what's going to happen when you do this, because it says in the Bible that, like if you do that, you're damning your soul, and you don't want to do that. Is like you're pretty much giving your life away to the Antichrist or whatever, and you definitely, unless you're kind of on the devil's side, just say, yeah, take me, Satan, hey, well, I can't stop you, because there are people out there that do that stuff and do black magic and witchcraft and who knows what other names of black magic there is. I've had people putting spells on me before, but Starlight broke free. Like I knew what to do. I prayed in Jesus' name, and pew, there it goes, and the devil will flee. And it is true, if you are being attacked, and the devil can't be around you all the time, but the devil can come around at some point and might try to attack you one way in a form of a person. And that happened to me a while back, and when I was in line somewhere, and I was being, the lady was verbally attacking me for no reason. I didn't do anything wrong, and I realized, I prayed quickly to Archangel Michael to put a shield of protection around me, and I didn't have my shield up when I went into this place, and this was demonic, force there, and the things that was coming out of this lady's mouth. And I read my Bible, not that I know everything about the Bible, because there's so much in the Bible to know, but I said, Satan, get thee hence, because it says in the Bible that you can say that and the devil will have to flee. And bam, it was like, anytime I see that same girl, it's almost like it never happened. It's like, hey, that's a trip, where you can tell Satan where you can tell him where to go. Satan, and the thing is that you don't want to be afraid of that stuff. And I know some of you might be afraid, like, wow, Starlight, you just told the devil to flee. Yeah, you bet your ass I did, and the devil did. The devil fled. And you got the power. You got power in your tongue and your mouth, words. So use your tongue wisely. Don't be afraid of that. You got God on your side, and the angels there protecting you. As long as you ask the angels to protect you, they are there to help you. But in order for them to help you, you gotta pray and ask for help. But with that R.F.I.D chip, this is why Starlight, I just was told again, I was like, sorry, but I'm sorry. There's something in me that can't go to the government for help. I've been there. I know what to expect going in there. I can't believe that things got better in there. You think the paper, the forms got even, they got greater. There's more questions than what they were when I was younger. Now they figured out more stuff. And, with that R.F.I.D chip, I watched a movie a long time ago, and movies, they have a lot of, clues to what to expect for the future. But the movie that I watched a long time ago, which there was like 4 movies, I bought every single one of them at a Christian store. And I know the first was A Thief of the Night, and there's 3 other ones that go along with it. Another one was called A Distant Thunder. That was, I don't know what order that movie went, but it's an old movie. But wow, anytime I watch that movie, that just gave me the shivers. And it had a lot to do with this R.F.I.D chip that they're gonna, I don't know when, but it's getting closer. It might be in my time, it might be in your time, but they're gonna try to tell you that, hey, because the crime rate is going up, we got a lot of scammers out there robbing people, and there's so many things that people can do to get your information off your debit cards, your credit cards, and your, now they have special wallets so people can't scan you when you're walking around. There's some kind of device that people, I don't know what they use, but I heard about it, is that they have ways of getting your information off your credit card. Like you can have it in your wallet Of course, Starlight does not use wallets like that in my pocket, but where people can walk on the street, or you could be in the library and somebody can tap into your credit card information when your credit card is still in your pocket and in your wallet. So now somebody came up with a wallet to protect your credit card, so they can't tap into your stuff while it's in your wallet. So then they already have it, and they want to use this on the children, that way, hey, just in case something happens to your children, we can track them, and they had tracking devices when my kids were little. They were different though, where you would tie them on their book bag or something, and I didn't really think about it. I was young at the time, and then I realized, wait a minute, if they're tracking my children, they're tracking me too. It took me a while to, wait a minute, I tie them on my kids' sneakers or put them on my kids' backpacks, and of course wherever, my kids would go to school, but of course after school hours, they're going to be with their mom, I hope, or wherever your kids are going to go. And I thought it was kind of crazy is because, if a kidnapper walks in a park where the police department is hanging around at a table trying to get your kids to get that tracking device tied on your kids' sneaker or backpack or wherever, couldn't a kidnapper or a guy or lady that kidnaps kids, because guys and girls, it would be easier for a girl to pick up a kid, and they do that, is that women can be used, that could be a job of hers to befriend a child at a playground or something, and you would think that kids would watch their kids at a playground, but they still don't, not all of them. So it would be easy for, a lady to befriend a child and say, hey, want to come with me and go get some ice cream? You know how many kids would jump to that? Yeah, ice cream. So, with a kidnapper or a lady or a guy, if they walked in the same park that I was at, where my kids are getting tags on their clothing or on their sneakers, and then, the kidnapper or a kidnapper could walk through the park and act like they're a dad and say, hey, yeah, I want to learn about this. And, now the kidnapper knows, hey, if you pick up kids, throw their sneakers up, throw their, make sure all their clothes are, I don't know, just to take their backpack, make sure they don't have their backpack with them so they're not being tracked, take their sneakers off. So, so they're going to have a different way of tracking your kids. They have all kinds of tracking devices. I thought about getting one. I'm being funny. Like some guys and girls, wives and husbands, they buy jewelry. Jewelry for mainly it would be the guys doing that, I'm going to track her, find out, because they might have had relationships in the past where they didn't trust their loved one, and then, here they are looking online, boy, my wife loves jewelry, or a special watch that has a tracking device in it, and that way, he could track her every move, make sure she's not messing around on him, make sure she is where she says she's going to be, test her out to see if she's honest or not. So, I know I'm saying all this stuff, but this is stuff that's real. They do. I looked it up online. They do. They have necklaces, beautiful. Isn't that beautiful necklace, honey? And little does it, well, of course, if she doesn't wear it, it would have to be her favorite necklace, so she could put it on. But, that's why they came up with the tracking device in your skin. They want to use it on the military men, so they don't lose their military men, so they can find them if they ever, anybody, on the other military service, if they ever took their men or women, and were going to brutally beat them or hide them somewhere, then they would be able to find them, because it would be in their bodies to track them down and know who they are, and it would be all the different kinds of information. I don't know what that was, but anyway, they also wanted to put those tracking devices, and a lot of you are going to probably cheer on to this one. Yes, do it to those ones. Is to track rapists and men or women, because this happens to both, is that have gotten in trouble, like with kids, and I don't remember the names of all these things, but if I worded it, it probably would come out funny. So they wanted to track those kind of people so then the officers could keep a better eye on them to protect the kids, and to put those chips into prisoners so that way if they ever got free or even when they got out that they could still be tracking them wherever they go. And a lot of you are like, yeah, put it on them. So I don't know what to say on that one, so we're just gonna keep going with the video. But do you really want all your privacy taken away? So, and this is why Starlight doesn't want it to depend, and everybody's telling me, Starlight, go to the government. Starlight, go to the government. Why don't you go to the government? So that was asked to me today again, and I can't. There's something in me. It totally goes against every part of me to do that, is I've been there before. I know what to, I can't even imagine what it's like these days. All of it, this is where it's going to come later on is just, and I don't want to scare you, but you got to be prepared. Like if you're a person that gets government money one way or another, and I'm not banging anybody, beating anybody up with this, it's your life, your choice. I am not that person to do this, but if you are on assistance, you really want to try to think of a way of making money. Really get some, have a back plan, have a backup, save money, do something, where you really got to have a plan for future, because I have relatives that are on the assistance for disability, not that they really can't work and make money, it's just that they choose not to, and they always live in fear that the government's going to come along and say, you're not getting a check this. How many of you are on assistance and felt the same way? Maybe you're on a disability or some kind of a money, where you get money every month, and a lot of people, they can't wait for the beginning, the first of the month, to receive that little bit of money that they do get to last them through the month. So, there's going to be a time, just like what they did with the, that's why the whole COVID thing is very serious, not to fall for everything that you're told on the news, is they were using the injection, saying, hey, if you don't have that injection, you can't go here. And if you don't have, it was getting really, really ugly quick out there as far as COVID, where, hey, you can't go to this restaurant if you don't get the injection, or you can't go on the airplane if you go, so there's a lot of people that were so scared. They're like, they were closing their restaurants and, doing a lot of things and really trying to force people against their own will to take that injection because they feared it and they didn't want, they thought that if you didn't have, it didn't make any sense to me, because that injection wasn't protecting the people, from getting the virus. So it's not like you're in a bubble after you get the injection and the virus can't touch you, or that you can't get, get it and pass it on to somebody else. So, they acted like people could not pass it on to other people when you got the injection, and made no absolute sense. I didn't graduate, but really that did not make any sense to Starlight is, and nobody told me this. This is stuff I was thinking on my own because I had my cleaning business and people didn't want me in their house because they were scared. They're like, she doesn't have the injection. So, and I had a mask on, but you don't have the, it didn't make any sense. What good is the injection if it's not gonna, I could still rub up to somebody with COVID and still pass it, whether if I had the injection or not. So it absolutely made no sense at all. So the whole thing with the chip is that you got to watch out for, is because later on, like what they were doing with the COVID, the injection is scaring people, repeatedly on the news all over. You couldn't even drive down the road on a throughway without some kind of sign saying, to wear the mask, or, stay 6 feet apart. They had signs everywhere, in buildings, outside, on billboards, or wherever you could go. trying to program us. Can you see this? Please see this. Notice this. Don't fall asleep now. It's time to wake up and really stay awake. If you got to, drink the whole pot of coffee. Do whatever it takes to just stay awake. This is not the time to fall asleep. With that injection, they could say and do exactly what they were doing before is, hey, like with DSS, with government handouts, is, hey, you want food stamps? Yeah. Do you want your rent paid? Yeah. Well, you can't have it until you get the R.F.I.D chip, and then once you get that R.F.I.D chip, then we'll give you whatever you want. That is really, I am telling you, that's where it's going later on. This is something I knew a long time ago. That is where it's going to be going later on, is that chip in you. And if you don't have it, then hey, sorry, but can't give you any food. That's why it's so important to learn how to go camping. That's why I don't really care what I'm going through right now. I'm going through this so I could show you how to do it, is by being homeless, living in my car. It's no accident. God is in control of everything. I am going through this so then, hey, when you get to where I am the one to come to, because I'm going to show you how to do everything and what to do and what to watch out for. Not to be scared, but to be prepared. So, you don't want to have the government control you and say, hey, if you want food stamps, then, here you go, get the injection, get that in your arm, or in your forehead. It says in the Bible, in your hand or your forehead. In that movie that I watched years ago, I'll tell you, that scared the blank out of me. If Starlight buys a movie, that means she really liked it. Starlight does not go out and buy movies. Absolutely not. That was the only movie that I went, well, besides a Michael Jackson video, before he died, I bought and I don't know where that went. I probably gave it away to somebody like I did with all my stuff, but so you really do. You want to be prepared and ready and not to be afraid. But like I said, learn how to go camping, learn how to do a fire, learn how to make a fort, learn how to set a tent up, learn how to start a fire, send your kids to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Forget about soccer, really. Forget about football, really. Send them to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. There you would actually be helping your kids out, because later on, if they find themselves where they couldn't afford and you weren't there to help them out, that they can actually live off the land one way or another and survive and learn about the herbs of the, Starlight knows herbs out in the woods. I know what is edible and what's not edible out in the woods. Starlight always wanted to go on those survival shows that they have on there to see who would survive, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be out there with all the people. Send me out. Starlight's like, because they had a lot of drama, a lot of fighting back and forth. I'm like, skip that part. Starlight didn't want to deal with all that, but Starlight always thought she could actually handle living, because I know how to build things and I'm really creative. So it really is important to get out and take your kids out camping, look up and find out how to find a buddy or somebody that knows how to really do some camping. Learn as much as you can. Learn how to have a garden or some plants in your house or on your porch or in a shed somewhere where you can have it heated up and, like to be able to grow vegetables and can stuff. Really, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. You really want to be prepared for, things that could happen later on in the world. So anyway, I do love you, and I really hope you get a lot of help from this video, and I don't want you to be afraid. Let love guide you, not fear, but be prepared. Starlight has a video. I'm going to have to search it out and see if I can find it. I made it. It's an old video of mine that I made. I made a fort a long time ago, and I made one in 2022. It was called the 5D fort, but I made one long time ago, and I'm thinking about grabbing that and putting it out on YouTube, is to show you. I hope I started it from the beginning, because it would really be awesome. I would like to record that one time, is to but that takes a long time to make a fort. Like I was like every day going out there like a full-time job, like making a fort. Well, not a everyday full-time job, but I was out there in the woods and, you know, like working on this fort, trying to get it ready for winter. You really do. In the springtime when all that snow melts, find a place, you know, and I would love to show you how to build a fort out in the woods somewhere, but I could keep on talking on that topic, but I will make a video on that, you know, because there's a lot of homeless people that don't want government money, that don't want going in the shelter, and that's absolutely fine. You know, that is fine. I understand. I definitely get you, but not everybody does. So anyway, I do love you. I really hope you get a lot of help. You know, it gives you a lot to think about. Store up on food. Believe me, store up on food. And don't forget toilet paper. So anyway, I do love all of you. You can give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video. It's so important that other people get to know about this. If you have not heard about the R.F.I.D chip, you know, you check it online. Check it. They got the videos showing you people injecting those babies in their skin already. I've seen it. You know, they can even do that with people that need medical assistance, like on DSS, and say, hey, you want Medicaid or Fidelis? Well, you got to get the chip in order for us to help you anymore. What? You know, so yeah, don't let these people push you over, you know, and control you that way. That's why it's so important to really have a way and to be able to make it without having the government to help you. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Besides giving my videos a thumbs up, you could share it with your friends, family members, you know, loved ones, homeless people, anybody, really. Let people know about this video. It's so important. Plus, you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget the notification bell. Plus, don't forget to leave a message down below, beep, 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 and you can follow me on Instagram, and that is at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I do love you. I have been thinking about this video for a while, and today my memory is getting better. So anyway, I do love you. This is Starlight. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.